No. So sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. John Green has a Twitter, right? I need him to write a different ending, just like a different ending. It'll be okay if we just fix this. If we just fix this one part, it'll be fine. Just a little bit more. Okay. I don't understand why it had to end that way. I mean, I don't understand. I know that I don't. Still working on it. So now that I've somewhat recovered from finishing The Fault in Our Stars, not really, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my thoughts on chapters 17 through 25. So if you have not read chapters 17 through 25, don't keep watching this. Though at the same time, the big reveal kind of came up at, I think, chapter 15 or 16, so you're probably safe, but you know. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is when Hazel obviously now knows that Gus's cancer has come back, and she goes on to describe Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And she says, basically this guy, Abraham Maslow, became famous for his theory that certain needs must be met before you can even have other kinds of needs. It looks like this. And hopefully you guys can see this okay, but I don't know, because the lighting in my room is preposterous. The first need is psychological. That contains food, water, shelter, air, warmth. The next need is security, which contains safety, steady job, insurance, etc. The next one is social needs, which has belonging, family, and love. The next is esteem needs, which contains self-worth and accomplishment. And the last need is self-actualizing needs, and that contains self-aware personal growth. According to Maslow, I, Hazel, was stuck on the second level of the pyramid, unable to feel secure in my health and therefore unable to reach for love and respect and art and whatever else, which is, of course, utter horseshit. The urge to make art or contemplate philosophy does not go away when you are sick. Those urges just become transfigured by illness. Maslow's pyramid seemed to imply that I was less human than other people, and most people seemed to agree with him. And I thought that was really interesting because I had heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs before. I think it was like brought up in a psychology class, and I remember thinking, this is stupid. So I really enjoyed that Hazel had the same reaction to it. To be honest with you, I do feel like it's bullshit. So sorry to people who do believe in that. More power to you. That's cool if it gets you where you need to be and helps you out in your life. But I don't believe it, because I do not have all of those things in my life, and I'm not saying that my life is perfect. Hell to the no. But it's, you know, I feel like everyone handles things differently and everyone achieves things differently, and whether you have this amount of success at this point in your life or later on in your life, it's not going to determine your happiness or your self-worth or stuff like that. So I liked seeing that Hazel was like, no, that's stupid. Because I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, girl. This next part I'm going to talk about is whenever Hazel is reminiscing on her time with Gus, and she's looking through pictures and everything. And she says, it seemed like forever ago, like we'd had this brief but still infinite forever. Some infinities are bigger than other infinities. And that goes back to whenever Van Houten had said the same thing to her. And I think that this quote ultimately goes back to Gus whenever he's talking about it after they first got back from visiting Van Houten, and he says some infinities are bigger than other infinities. And he's talking about how many things can happen in a single minute and how there's an infinite number of possibilities within a minute, which I think ultimately results in Gus's just intense need and craving and desire to matter in the world. And whenever he has his cancer come back, he is destroyed because he knows it's not going to happen, or he feels it's not going to happen. But I think that towards the end, which I'm totally jumping ahead here, but you realize how many people he affected and how many infinities he gave to so many people whose lives he touched just through his words and his humor and his kindness. I think that you can make whatever you want to make out of it, and I think that that's one of the amazing, brilliant things that John Green does. He gives you background, and he gives you information, he gives you somewhat of an explanation, but he still leaves it open to you and for your deciding. Right, so the next part that I'm going to talk about is one that I'm going to try really hard not to cry because it's freaking sad. It's heartbreaking. It's when Hazel is giving her eulogy of Gus. She's giving a pre-eulogy, a pre-funeral for Gus while he's still alive. And she says, "My name is Hazel. Augustus Waters was the great star-crossed love of my life. Ours was an epic love story, and I won't be able to get more than a sentence into it without disappearing into a puddle of tears. Gus knew, Gus knows. I will not tell you our love story because, like all real love stories, it will die with us as it should. I can't talk about our love story, so I will talk about math. I am not a mathematician, but I know this. There are infinite numbers between 0 and 1. There's 0.1 and 0.12 and 0.112 and an infinite collection of others. Of course, there is a bigger infinite set of numbers between 0 and 2, or between 0 and a million. Some infinities are bigger than other infinities. A writer we used to like taught us that. There are days, many of them, when I resent the size of my unbounded set. I want more numbers that I'm likely to get, and God, I want more numbers for Augustus Waters than he got. But Gus, my love, I cannot tell you how thankful I am for our little infinity. I wouldn't trade it for the world. You gave me a forever within the numbered days, and I am grateful." That really, goes in further to what I was saying earlier. It's just that Gus might not think that he is going to leave a mark on this world, but he does, and he does it through the people that he touched and the infinities that he created within those moments that didn't seem to last long, but that within those moments there was just an infinity of memory, of love, of all of that, I don't know. That's a really great line. It's like, snap, John Green. This part is after Gus has died. Hazel is explaining her grief, and she says, "It was unbearable, the whole thing. Every second worse than the last. I just kept thinking about calling him, wondering what would happen, if anyone would answer. In the last weeks, we'd been reduced to spending our time together in recollection, but that was not nothing. The pleasure of remembering had been taken from me, because there was no longer anyone to remember with. It felt like losing your co-rememberer meant losing the memory itself, as if the things we'd done were less real and important than they had been hours before." I don't know, that one just kind of grates on me because I think I haven't felt that way yet in life, but I know that there are people in my life that if I ever lose them, I'm going to feel that way. I'm going to feel that, and it's going to suck, and it's going to be awful, so. Okay. All right. So I am at the end now, reaching the end. I'm at the part where Hazel finally finds the pages missing from Gus's notebook. It's a letter to Van Houten, and Van Houten's assistant sends it to her. And this part, Gus is talking about how crappy of a writer he thinks he is. And he says, "My thoughts are stars I can't fathom into constellations." And I love that line because that's what I feel pretty much all the time. And it was just a really perfect way of saying that. So this part, Gus is talking about how he went and saw Hazel in the hospital, and she didn't know that when she had relapsed and she was unconscious. And he says, "I just held her hand and tried to imagine the world without us, and for about 1 second I was a good enough person to hope she died so she would never know that I was going to. But then I wanted more time so we could fall in love. I got my wish, I suppose. I left my scar. What else? She is so beautiful, you don't get tired of looking at her. You never worry if she is smarter than you. You know she is. She is funny without ever being mean. I love her. I am so lucky to love her, Van Houten. You don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, old man, but you do have some say in who hurts you. I like my choices. I hope she likes hers." And then Hazel says, "I do, Augustus. I do." I can't think of the right words. Like, again, my thoughts are stars I cannot fathom into constellations. I can't think of all the right words to say how I feel about this book, but it's an important book. It's unique and it's beautiful, and I truly feel that it deserves all the praise that it has gotten, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the movie and seeing how it translates onto screen, and just seeing if I get all of those same feelings and little infinities that I had captured throughout the book. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes, and I just, I feel like this is a book that I'm going to reread over and over again for the rest of my life. It's an important book to me, and I think that it's a book that everyone should read, definitely. Alright guys, so that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!